Hi everyone, it's Natalie and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about my 2020 reading goals. I have 6 of them, so let's go right into them. So my first reading goal is the basic reading goal that almost everyone does on BookTube, my Goodreads reading challenge. I ended up putting 70 books to read this year. Last year I read around 130 or 40. I can't remember the specific number exactly, but I read around 100 count, but that was because I was reading a lot of graphic novels, and I'm not going to be doing that much this year. Not because I didn't like them, I actually really enjoyed the graphic novels and manga I read last year, but it's just not my priority for this year. So that's why I'm setting the goal lower, although in general I tend to set my goal in Goodreads to be lower than what I actually usually manage, because for me it's fun to say that I hit my challenge, even if it's kind of like cheating because like I knew all along I could hit it. But we'll see, because I'm gonna try to tackle bigger books this year, so we'll see if I actually hit 70. And I mentioned the whole, oh, I'm gonna tackle like thick books this year, and that's not even one of my reading goals. It's just that I have a lot of them on my shelf, but that will be coming up with another of my goals, so I'll talk more about that later. My second reading goal is to read more backlist releases by my favorite authors. I have quite a few favorite authors, a lot. I'm going to be focusing more on 2 of them, specifically Maggie Stiefvater and Tessa Gratton. Maggie Stiefvater is one of my oldest favorite authors. I've been loving her books since 2014, which is a pretty long time for me because I tend to outgrow authors. Not really outgrow, well, maybe. But the point is that Maggie Stiefvater has a lot of older releases that I haven't gotten around to yet because I'm stupid, so that's kind of what I want to do. Call Down the Hawk is not one of them because I'm the Raven Boys trash, so I read this immediately and I loved it, but that's not the point of this video, so that's not what we're going to talk about today. I haven't read The Scorpio Races by her, which everyone who has read it seems to love, and I haven't read her far older books like Ballad and Lament. I don't even know the order of those 2, but I do want to read them. And she also has a middle grade series, Pip Bartets or something like that. I don't remember the title, but I also want to try at least the first book in that series. If I don't like it, then I'm not going to continue on with it because middle grade isn't really my thing, but I just want to give it a shot because it's Maggie Stiefvater and everything she writes is glorious to me. So that's kind of that on Maggie. The other author I really want to pick up more books from is Tessa Gratton. As you can see, I'm currently in the middle, more than the middle, of annotating this book, but that you'll hear more about that in my January wrap-up, which is still a bit ways off. But I read this book for the first time in 2018 and I absolutely loved it, and ever since then I was like, I need to become Tessa Gratton trash, but I haven't actually done it. The only other book by hers that I've read is Strange Grace, which is one of her more recent YA releases, but I really want to hit that backlist of hers. I already have on my Kindle one of them, The Lost Sun, I think it's called. It's from her like Gods of Asgard series or something like that. I'm really looking forward to reading that one. I think she also has another series, Blood Magic, I think it's called, the first book in that series, so I also want to hit that. With both Tessa Gratton and Maggie, I wouldn't be buying those books, I would be getting them from the library, apart from the ones that I already own, like The Scorpio Races, I already have it on Kindle, and The Lost Sun, I already have it on Kindle, so obviously I'll read those like that. But everything else I'm planning to get from the library because I need to save some coin. My third reading goal is to read, am I holding even, I had to check that I was holding the right amount of numbers, but okay. My third reading goal is to read more Edgar Allan Poe. I bought this thick ass baby at the end of December because I went to a used bookstore with one of my friends and I saw a bunch of different editions of Edgar Allan Poe, and I was like, My teenage emo self really needs a throwback. I really need to get back to reading Edgar Allan Poe because I really did love his writing and his writing style. Like, so fucking edgy and dark, and everything that I secretly still love because, like, the vibes of his writing are still something that I definitely like when I find in other books by other authors. So that's kind of why I suddenly decided 2020 is the year I really need to start reading more Edgar Allan Poe. I'm gonna try to make it so that it's like what I read before bed, but that may or may not happen. We'll see what ends up happening with Edgar Allan Poe. But isn't this cover amazing? I personally love this cover. I think it's amazing. It's why I bought it and also bought another one, because this one, like, the font is too small. I really bought this mostly because I liked the cover and not because I was planning on reading this one. So I bought another one that's thinner, but it has a bigger font, and it was so pretty, and I was feeling like spending money. So that's the one I'll be reading instead of this one. My next 3 reading goals kind of go hand in hand. They're really interconnected, but the 4th one is to make a serious dent in my physical and digital TBR. I have a lot of books on my Kindle that I have not touched, that I have bought several years ago. And they're all books I really wanted to read and that I still really want to read. I just haven't really gotten around to them. But, like, currently, my stand to film these videos is a stack of books. Books that I have not read. So, love that for me. Doing really well. I really do want to make serious damage to my physical and digital TBR because it's just getting out of control, and I really just want to make it so that my bookshelves don't have so many books that I haven't read. I mean, when you think about the broad scope, the ratio of read and unread books on my bookshelf leans towards read over unread, but it's still too many, and I just want it to stop. I just want it to get under control. My 5th reading goal is to pick up less books from the library. This is related to the previous one because ever since I moved to Chicago 2 years ago and discovered the public library system, I kind of became addicted to the public library, and so all the books I wanted to read were from the library instead of the ones I paid with my hard-earned money. So my goal for this year is to pick up less books from the library because in order to make a good dent in my physical and digital TBR, I need to stop picking up things from the library. But I'm also a weak soul, so we'll see if that actually happens, if I actually succeed. My 6th reading goal is not so much as a reading goal, but it's related to reading. But the point is that my 6th reading goal is to buy less books. I have serious issues with book buying. Considering the amount of money I make, I really need to stop spending so much money on books. Like, it just needs to get under control. So I really want this year to not buy that many books unless I have 2 conditions for buying books. Either I'm going to a book event where I'm going to meet the author and it's an author I like and I don't already own their books physically, then I'll buy a couple of those because then I can get them signed and it'll be great. So that's one. The second exception is an anticipated release by an author I already know and absolutely love. By the way, sorry if the angle's a bit different. I had to move things up because my storage was full. But anyway, let's try and go through this quickly so that I don't lose all my fucking storage again. So, for example, Maggie Stiefvater. I've already mentioned I love her and adore her and would give her my all. So for example, I have this edition of Call Down the Hawk, which is the Owl Crate exclusive, but I didn't just buy this copy because I'm a Maggie Stiefvater ho. I bought this Owl Crate edition. I bought this copy with her signed artwork because I needed Ronan Lynch in my life. And I also bought this copy because it's signed and doodled by Maggie herself. Again, I'm total trash for her, so I'm not scared of giving her my coin all of it. So I think that pretty much shows that with favorite authors, not only will I pick up their books immediately, but if there's multiple editions of them, I will pick them up. I know it's not for everyone, but I really like having multiple copies of books by my favorite authors, so that's why I put an investment on that. And that's also why it's one of my exceptions, because I'd rather buy multiple copies of a book of an author that I already know I'm gonna love than spend that money on an author that I don't really know, especially when I could just use the library. Like if I'm that desperate to read a book by an author that's not familiar to me, I could just go to the library and read it. I hope I explained myself well there. Basically, my point being that authors I love, I will buy their books. Some of them will be faster at doing it than others, but the point is I'm going to try to spend less money on books, or at least if I'm doing it, I'm not buying multiple editions of the books of my favorite authors, and on top of that, a bunch of new releases. That's kind of like the goal. That's it for today's video. Thanks so much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and follow me on my social media. I'll leave it linked down below if you want to follow me there. So see you next time.